Hello, everybody. I'm Bob226, aka Josiah. And yeah, I'm wearing a hat today, having a bit of a tough hair day. I will have a haircut hopefully by the time the pre-lock show kicks off. But hey, more importantly, this is a 7-game slate. Definitely a lot to get into, a ton of injury news that has really made me only give a damn about one game. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one. And then there's definitely going to be some GPP tournament plays here and there throughout the slate. So let's go ahead. Let's get into it. Let's make it happen. And let's start off with this first game. We have the Hornets against the Magic. For me, this game isn't super interesting. Paolo Banchero is questionable. That's a really big deal. We like to play bigs against the Hornets. Wendell Carter Jr., Paolo Banchero, definitely on our radar. If Paolo Banchero is out, freaking love Wendell Carter Jr. If he ends up being out. I feel like, I'm sorry, I just saw myself in the corner. I feel like I look like a McDonald's employee. No beef against McDonald's employees, but definitely the look I'm giving right now. Alex is saying Detroit for all the money. We'll see. LaMelo Ball, he made his season debut. He played for about 28 minutes. So he's someone that we can consider playing. I would love to see more consistency. If he sees like 30 to 35 minutes, he would be more of like a GPP tournament play guy that I would consider targeting. But without us knowing that he's going to see those steady, consistent 30 plus minutes, he's a tougher play. Terry Rozier, everyone's healthy. He's still priced up. He's a GPP tournament play for me. Not really someone that I'm targeting too much. Bol would love Bol if Paolo was out. I think now I kind of want Paolo to be out. I think that would make this slate a lot more fun, actually. Yeah, a guy like Okiki, a bit too expensive. Overall, this game's just pretty meh. Jalen McDaniels, you can definitely consider. PJ Washington's definitely like your GPP target play guy. But as of right now, with everyone being healthy, everyone's just going to be in my player pool. I'm going to let the domination station decide what I do. Nice, man. 400 yesterday. Yeah, I don't play. For those of you guys who don't know, I don't play NBA on Sundays in particular, and then I usually only play on Saturdays during the playoffs, but on occasion I'll play every now and then. It's nice to play on Saturdays because I don't do content on Saturdays, so I can really just focus on my lines. But Joel Embiid, I heard about that performance, 100 points. I hope you guys had exposure to him. I didn't play, so I didn't, but I feel like, Sherelle, you probably did. Hitting 400 yesterday, I feel like you probably needed Joel Embiid to do that. So congrats, man. Hopefully you made some good money with it. But yeah, moving on, outside of that, as of right now, with everyone healthy, this game's just not too impressive. Especially when there's this Raptors against the Pistons game on deck. This is the game we want exposure to. You're probably asking why. And the reasoning for that is because we have Pascal Siakam out. He's been out for a while. Doesn't really matter. Fred VanVleet is out. And then literally like 5-10 minutes ago, we got the news that Gary Trent Jr. is also out. That is gigantic news because I was ready to lock Gary Trent Jr. in on this slate. I was ready to sing Gary Trent Jr.'s praises on this show. And now it's going to be a much different show where we talk through all of the hideous names we will be playing. Nice. I'm glad. Yes, I'm glad the domination station, this system right here was pushing Embiid to get into your lines. That's awesome. And good time to segue. The pre-lock show, I've mentioned that a few times. And if you're new to this show, you probably still have no idea what that is. That is the pre-lock show that we do at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. That is where I dig a little bit deeper into what I'm actually doing on this slate, who I'm boosting, how we're using the domination station on a slate like this. And then to become a member, you click the link in the description. You can use promo code BOB to get a 10% discount. But really, when you're a member, you're not really just joining for the pre-lock show. That's a plus. But you're also joining to get access to all the awesome coaches we have, like my guy Scott Newman, who had an awesome takedown last night in NFL. I think you won like what, $20,000-$30,000. So that's freaking awesome. So yeah, Scott's one of the awesome coaches you will have some access to when you become a VIP member, along with some of the other really good coaches we have too. So ton of pluses. Yeah, Mr. 5 Cents, you are spot on. This is a OG, a newbie. This is a Scotty Barnes slate. Absolutely no reason to play them when we have all of these starters out. You guys know when just one Raptors starter is out, I'm pretty close to locking them in. Now that we have 3 starters out, I freaking love it. I'm playing Scotty Barnes a shit ton. I'm playing OG Anunoby a ton. And Chris Boucher will probably come off the bench, but I still love him. Otto Porter Jr., Thad Young become smash plays. As we go lower, I get more fearful and more scared because we have guys like Malachi Flynn. I had to double check the month. This is November. And we're talking about playing Malachi Flynn. I want to see the starting lineup. That's going to matter a ton. But a guy like Malachi Flynn could be a slam value play on a slate like this. So yeah, for me, I'm eating all of this chalk. I really don't care. Those of you who watch the pre-lock show later, I'm making 150 lines tonight, and I will have 150 different variations of playing the Raptors. All of them are. I'm fine really getting exposure to all of them. All right. Oh yeah, on the Pistons side of this game is important too. We should probably touch on that. We have Cade Cunningham out. So far this season, when Cade Cunningham has been out, Jaden Ivey's usage has moved to 31.8%. Yes, like that's a huge usage rate for a guy that's only $62,000. Yeah, or $6,200. I will be very, very heavy on Jaden Ivey, barring any news. Outside of that, you can also look at guys like Sadiq Bey, Bojan Bogdanovic, Isaiah Stewart. All of them stand out. But for me, Ivey is really the top tier play. Killian Hayes also stands out a good bit as well. Pretty much the best way of going about this slate for me is attacking a lot of this chalk that I really like. So I already know when I run the domination station for the pre-lock show later today, it's going to give me a ton of this game, and I'm only going to increase the exposure to it, or increase my exposure to it. All right, my guy Dave asked Scott, how can I become a member? Scott, you can answer if you want to. Scott, you can also click the link in the description. It's a link to the website. You can also just go to DFS Army's website directly by Googling it and become a member that way. And then you can join our Discord and message all of the coaches that we have that way. Yeah, Duran can eat. I want exposure to pretty much everyone in that game. You'll see on the pre-lock show, like it's going to be a little, I might be a little overweight on that game, a little bit too much, but I love it. I really do. All right, now to lesser exciting games, but still some GPP plays here and there. We have the Thunder against the Celtics. Jason Tatum has been crushing it so far this season. His price tag at 10,800 scares me, or it has been scaring me off of him, but it is really he's really worth his price at this point. 10,800. He's paying off his price tag. He's someone we can definitely consider in tournaments. Same story for SGA, although at a cheaper price tag. SGA has all the ceiling in the world. I thought Josh Giddey coming back would impact him somewhat, but so far it hasn't. And really, we start to see a little bit more consistency out of Josh Giddey as well. He's had multiple 40-plus games over the last few games, so love to see that out of Giddey as well. No, Don Juan, I don't believe Brown is out. He's in. As of now, he's in. Tatum's just a GPP play for me. You can say the same thing for Brown, but Brown for me, Brown isn't as exciting, but he's definitely still a solid GPP play. The rest of this game, like Smart, Al Horford definitely stand out to some extent, but really with all the other options that we talked about already in the Raptors Pistons game, I really just want one or two pieces from these other games. So not a game I'm going to focus a ton of. We'll probably use SGA and Tatum as kind of like one-off high ceiling pieces. Outside of that, we have the Suns and Miami Heat. Now, you might be wondering, hey, how are you going to afford these studs? And again, we get a lot of our value in this Raptors Pistons game, so I'm getting my studs in just a few different spots today. So another spot you can target for your GPPs, guys like Jimmy Butler, Devin Booker. This is a game that doesn't really map out well for either of them. These are two solid defensive teams, solid average paces. I don't think this is going to be a high scoring game for either side, but this could still be a ceiling spot for Jimmy Butler and Devin Booker. Those are like the main guys I would consider. DeAndre Ayton is still only $6,200. I will never understand why these sites refuse to price up DeAndre Ayton. This isn't a great matchup for him, but he is still priced too cheap. With the other value that we have at the center position on this slate, you don't have to play DeAndre Ayton, but he's definitely someone that I'm fine getting exposure to. All right, moving on. We have the Atlanta Hawks against the Milwaukee Bucks. Mr. 5 Cent said, is it just me or is Horford off to a super slow start? Yeah, he hasn't looked good either. He's had some all right performances, which always keeps him in play. Like I'm never going to exit him out of my lineups or anything like that, but he's not a guy that I'm trying to force in the lines when everyone's healthy on that team. All right, moving on to the Hawks and the Bucks. This is a game where we're expecting Jrue Holiday to be out. And so when that's the case, Giannis, who is already a usage master or monster, becomes even more of a monster, and he sees a 37.1% usage rate. We also see increases to guys like Bobby Portis, Javion Carter. The good news is this was originally looking like a slate where we were going to have to get a lot of exposure to Javion Carter, who of course has had a lot of really good games, but with Giannis coming back, there's a bit more risk there. So we have more value with that. The Raptors team, we have more value on this slate, so we don't have to play Carter. I think Carter still has some upside, so I think he's worth at least considering. Outside of that, guys like Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez will stay in the player pool, but they're not really standing out too much for me. I do like Giannis in this spot. He's probably the main guy I'm interested in here. Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, for me personally, I don't really do a ton with them when they're both healthy, but we've seen on countless occasions the ceiling is there for them. But I'm just not going to get there on this slate as of right now. Yes, Gary Trent Jr. is out, and that's why we love the Raptors game. Love it. Anyone else standing out? Not really. DeAndre Hunter always has some upside as well. We got that call right a few games ago, which was cool. Clippers Rockets is the next game on deck. This is another one that just really doesn't stand out with the Raptors Pistons game on slate. Paul George, he's been okay. We've seen him have crush and have ceiling performances against this Rockets team. But we've also seen him have just kind of like decent performances as well. My biggest concern is always when it comes to Paul George is really just his consistency and how much they really want it. You know, like when you watch the Clippers, I just feel like they give up around like halfway through the third quarter. And then you don't see any of their starters out there anymore. And you're just like, okay, well, that sucks. So I like playing Paul George for his upside and ceiling here. So we'll see on the pre-lock show where I actually land. But I definitely can see myself having some exposure to Paul George tonight on this slate. Same story for like Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green. They're the guys on this team, along with Alperen Sengun. I don't think I'm going to fade this spot for these guys, but again, they're just not super exciting. They're not really standing out for me. Outside of that, Reggie Jackson, of course, is standing out to some extent. Let me dig a little bit deeper into my notes and see if there's anything interesting happening here. Yeah. With Paul George out, I'm always like slightly more interested in Reggie Jackson. In the same story with Paul George, with John Wall out, I'm more interested in Paul George. Wall is out. Injury management. Yeah, I mean, I think out besides Wall, who's out, you can definitely consider some pieces from this team. And I think the reason why you can look at guys like Powell, Morris, Zubac, and George is because John Wall is a usage monster. I feel like I say it all the time, but John Wall is a usage monster. When he's out, that usage spreads, and you can attack some of the other pieces in this team. Yeah, and like I always say, Scott has a great process. You guys should definitely reach out to Scott, and he is a process master. You know, like he has like a process. He does the same thing every day, and it makes him money. So we definitely recommend reaching out to him about that. Let's get that money, baby. Yeah, right there with you, Austin. Like, let's get it. Outside of that, I think that's no. We have one more game. All right. Last game on the slate, we have the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. Stephen Curry, he's been having a great season. This is a ceiling spot for him. It looks like he's going to be popular. We'll see where he actually ends up being on the pre-lock show before we make a decision on what we're going to do there. But this is definitely a nice pace-up spot for him. Definitely a nice pace-up spot, ceiling spot. Definitely want to have some exposure to Stephen Curry here. It does always worry me when Steph is very popular, though, because he is a shooter and his shot does have to fall. So there's definitely a world where I might not be as high on him as some people. Keldon Johnson is also the guy on the San Antonio Spurs and has been all season. They're going to need him if this game is going to stay close. This is a 7.5 point spread. So it could be worth considering boosting him if you think this game stays close. Outside of that, we have some value options available in this game that are popping. I'll need to dig a little bit deeper into some of these situations, but I think part of it is Kenny. Like part of the reason why some of these guys are popping is because like maybe a guy like Clay doesn't play today. I don't know if that's finalized or not, so I need to dig deeper into that. Yeah, like with let's see. Yeah, like Klay Thompson is TBD right now based on injury management. Coach Kerr said Klay may not play in a back-to-back all year. And he said that on the 4th. So, of course, like if Thompson is out and he's TBD, and we might not get that news. This is the last game on slate. So you might want to have some contingency plans in place. But of course, like if Klay is out and that's becomes official, then we love like Green. Poole becomes very interesting. Wiggins becomes more interesting. When Klay Thompson is out, we of course love more people on this team. Of course, Curry as well. But if he's in, I'm a lot less interested in this game. That Klay Thompson news is going to be huge. I'm going to want to pay a lot of attention towards if he's practicing and what that looks like, because that's going to be a make or breaker on this slate. Something that I definitely want to keep an eye on. And so, because like some of these value guys like DiVincenzo and Charles Bassey and a lot of these guys, I think that value is really just popping in the domination station right now because of that Klay Thompson news is TBD. But let's keep a good eye on it. We'll talk about it on the pre-lock show again. Right now, I don't really care because I really just love this Raptors game and Pistons game. And I don't really care about the rest of it. The rest are just tournament pieces for me. So, guys, I appreciate everyone for watching, for tuning in. Again, definitely join DFS Army. We talked about that a lot this show. Click the link in the description. Outside of that, feel free to check out the pre-lock show later today at 5:30 p.m. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Peace. Good luck tonight.